What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the solo experience as a player in Dune Awakening. I've been getting the question quite a bit of what should I expect as a solo player. I try my best to convey the actual reality of the situation and not necessarily hold your hand. I feel like most of you are adult enough to accept what the reality is. And I just kind of want to take the time out in this video to not only tell you how it actually works in the in-game, but also maybe give you a little bit of a blueprint of what I would do if I was playing solo. Now for clarity, I did want to point out that I am not a solo player right now. A lot of times what I do is I do solo based things. So I go out into the deep desert a lot of times by myself, and then I hit different resources, different places, set up bases and outposts, and essentially scout and essentially face off against enemies time to time as if I was solo to some degree. I also act as a major person for scavenging items, which is going to be, in my opinion, extremely integral for the solo playstyle. And once again, while my guild is definitely much more on the bigger side, I do have insight on how a solo player should and could approach the gameplay. With that in mind, let's talk about exactly what to expect from the gameplay loop as a solo player. So just taking a look at where we're at now, this is the deep desert, and as you can probably tell, there's a lot here going on. This is going to be the major gameplay loop of going through this massive area. The way it will work for you is you would come from Haga Basin here, and generally speaking, what you're looking for is essentially stopping here in the Sector 7 region. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go into these regions, but I do want to be very clear that a lot of the players right now, as I'm making this video on the 13th, is most players are not at the point where they're in these deep desert areas. So for the most part, what people are conveying to you in terms of the solo experience of how to survive as a solo is coming off of people been playing for 5 days ahead of others, and the masses are finally starting to get there. In the grand scheme of things, by the time the actual launch came out, we didn't engage with much of any players. And then once the launch actually came out, we started seeing high activity in terms of aggression, players fighting, trolling, and attacking each other. And this is in groups. There was never a situation where it's just one guy trying to do a 1v1. It's always groups of 2, 3, 4, 5 people fighting each other. And that's just the reality of the game. This is a guild-based experience. What I'm trying to help you understand is while there has been a lot of content that's being produced right now saying, hey, look, this is the experience of a solo player in the in-game, it is not, because people are not strong yet. And you're not experiencing what is actually going to be when everyone has all the tools available to be present in the desert. So that's kind of what I'm trying to point out. What I will say though is you are capable, no matter what, to play in these zones where you can farm gear. I think the best way to kind of explain this to you guys is coming to this menu here. So coming to this menu, you'll notice there are multiple tiers of gear, very similar to that of what you see in Haga Basin, right? Haga Basin, whatever you call it. Right now, duraluminum products are something that I as a solo player can farm relatively easy. As you can see here, I'm farming this, and generally speaking, when we're talking about just from a crafting perspective, getting duraluminum is within reason. They're not that crazy to craft because duraluminum is built into Haga Basin, right? And so you'll have access to things like this, the mercenary stuff. When you start pushing into the plasteel items, this is going to require significantly more things like spice melange. Spice melange is a very hard resource to get. For perspective, and you should see some footage I think I saved where we go out with a carrier. Carriers are extremely expensive. Sand crawlers are extremely expensive. In order to get 36 spice melange, like that chest piece you saw, for example, that's going to cost you over 3,700 spice just for that one piece. And that's not including the device that needs to craft it. That's not including all the different resources behind it. You're going to need a lot of spice melange to be able to even craft this full set. And so going out into the deep desert and is going to be significantly more aggressive when you're out there. For a good portion of you, especially if you're a solo player, you're going to get out a lot later. You're going to be in a situation where crafting this armor is not practical. And this isn't needed to play in Haga Basin, right? This isn't needed to even do the deep desert PvE zone. But if you want to start transitioning into the PvP zones as a solo and actually be effective, or at least can contend to some degree, you would need this armor because you're not going to be able to fight off anyone. You can win dogfights for sure, but it's just not going to be practical without having some type of armor and weapon. Now, I really don't want to sound like I'm presenting this as negative, because again, you can play literally everything else, you just can't play that part of the game, and that's the reality. With that in mind, I am going to show you what I would do. Let's say I'm a complete solo player. How would I go about approaching this game? Because there is a lot that you can do as a player solo, and still be relatively strong and feel like you completed, 40, 50 hours of gameplay loop by yourself, or close to by yourself. Okay, so let's go over that. So how would I personally go about going from a solo perspective if I had to start all over and just progress to the game and have the best time possible and still be strong and feel good? The way I would do it is, first I would come and find a place very similar to this. As you can see here, we have a base that pretty much monopolizes a ton of water for our individual use. Now, I want to be clear, there are a mountain, and I mean a mountain of these places on the map, right? There's some over there where that base person built. There's some over there. I mean, people build bases like this. I know sometimes people get a little mad at me in the comments because we have this, but this is just normal. And I'm not looking out for my other people. I'm looking out for myself and my clan. I like to point out, I don't want people on this server to be stronger than me in the deep desert, because they become contenders. I really hope people understand that, but some people won't. Anyway, I would come here to this, and I would take a base like this. I would start off, you'll start off in Haga down here, and you would build a buggy, and then I would literally come all the way down, drive all the way up here, and I would set up a base right here in this area. It doesn't even have to be this water spot, because there's multiple water spots. I'll see if I can go show you, because there's even smaller ones that you can set up on if these guys didn't take it. But I think some people did take it. Well, this base look cool. I haven't been over here in this place in a long time. Really cool base, bro. But I think there's a water thing here as well. Where's this ship still here? Is it here? I haven't been down here in a while, but yeah. It looks like someone has a water base here too, a little bit. But you can easily set up another water base like this, for example. And that base example I showed you a second ago, the one where our main base is, this base will generate us over 100,000 water, and with the Reaper tools from those locations I told you can farm as a solo player, that will give you well over 135,000 water a night. I'm gonna turn down this audio real quick. I hope that wasn't too loud. And you can easily just start mass producing water as a solo player, and that's super big for you, because you're not gonna need as much water as a mega guild, but you'll need enough water, and you'll make enough water that you can always never have to go out and farm. You just get a Dew Reaper and you can keep farming water, and that's how I would approach it. The reason why I like this location specifically is because aluminium's here, there's carbon here, and then there's the carbon paste or whatever it's called here. And so you have all the primary resources all here. And then there's an iron works somewhere around here as well. So you'll have literally everything you need. Even if you're on a bike or you're on a buggy, you can just hit this area here. You'll be protected by sandstorms, and you'll have access to literally every ore available and every major crafting component available. So that would be my first thing. My second thing I would do is I would come over here to Shoal and come hit these bases. And I'm gonna show you this. Let me go ahead and fast forward real quick. And the literal most dangerous run would be from right here to right there. That's not far on the sandbike. You can easily do that. And then you would just make your way over here to the Shoal region. Now keep in mind, the Shoal region, when you go over that direction, becomes irradiated. But the great thing about this region is it has access to these zones right here, the edge of Arceron or whatever. Now I'm gonna show you exactly what these areas give you, because this is gonna give you an extreme edge early on, because this is gonna drop, I think, the second or third highest tier of gear and loot available in the game. I think it's the third highest. And if you're a new player with a sandbike and you come get this, you literally become a god. I'm gonna keep my ship out since the sandstorm just passed. Just fair warning, this is a PvP zone, so people could attack you. But what you're doing, and you can do this as a weaker player, it wouldn't be a big deal because you're not trying to fight anything. This is what I did early on to give us a lot of stuff. You just come over here, pick up this band. Good thing no one's in here. You grab this stuff, and as you can see there, for example, I just got this rifle, not this one, this Korpov, 45 damage, light machine gun, like it's really good. Stuff like that. So you grab that, come down here, grab all these different like resources in the space. Then once again, take all. We got a jolt knife, a scout on a copter engine, and a scout on a dropper generator. And you see what I mean? Like this stuff is crazy. You can use this stuff for your initial upgrade. So this is already a Mark V engine and a Mark V generator. And I literally just walked in here. You can do this on the sand bike. And you don't necessarily even have to come here right now. Like I would if I was a new player. I would take this stuff back with me to base, because you have two of the most hardest parts to build of your copter, and you would just realistically, if you hit this place and the next place I show you, you won't ever need to build anything other than the chassis, essentially. So you can have a little outpost there, set up a little base there where you can just drop the stuff off. Oh. And then you can always just like respawn and go there. So you can make a base here or something and have it respawn. Actually, no. You would make a base up there because this is where we're going next. And then you would just like glide down here and then sand bike down here and then drop it all off there or something like that. That's what I would do. So I made a little base here that I essentially made right there. You can see it. And I would just respawn here. And this is exactly what I would do if I was a new player. I would just make a little base here, and this would be my spawn point, my main base spawn point, and then I would have my buggy or my sand bike as my alternate spawn point. And then you can die, respawn, come here, do the run here, put it all in there, and then when you're ready to go, grab all this stuff, jump down there, and then go run to that other location. And you can easily build up the stuff here. And this is another PvP zone, so you got to be mindful of that as well. But it's almost always never contested, and that's the thing. And there's plenty of boxes like this one that's going to give you regulators, tons of money, and you'll build money too. So by the time you're done doing your reputation quest and you're building money, you can go buy the pieces that you don't scavenge. And this is the exact same layout. So we'll interact, and I'm not gonna pick up, I'll pick up the money. But as you can see here, fuel cells, power regulator, stuff like that, you can get that. And it has the similar loot pool as the other thing. You can just come here. We'll look at this. Gloves, weapons, things like that. So as you can see here, this is decent stuff that you as a player who's 30 minutes into the game, an hour into the game, you already have adept level stuff. It's not gonna last you forever, but this is also a 15-minute spawn. So every 15 minutes you click respawn, you go spawn at that base over there, you bring your ass here, you grab this stuff, you go jump down there, you go grab that stuff, you put it in your little base that you build some storage chests in. And when you have all the pieces you need for your copter, because you will get it within a reasonable time, you go grab all that stuff, you put your copter together, you build out the chassis. Even if you need to go farm that the little bit, you go do that, and you're done with your copter. And this works for the buggy as well. I'm not gonna go show it because I will make this video too long. But this place here, the Imperial's testing station, for example, will literally give you a buggy parts. This area here, where is it? Something despair. Condor's Shadow. This place will also give you it. And the moment you get those weapons, what you would do is you just basically come back over here and you clear this area. Every single one of these intels, you shoot the little probe and you get all the intel. Because this area gives you 30 intel. And you're going to have weapons that can pierce shields. You're going to have gear that you'll eventually get a drill shot. Did I get a drill shot? Yeah, I got a adept drill shot from one of those boxes. This will, when you shoot a shield, this will pierce their shield. All those shielded enemies you're having a hard time with in the early game just dies instantly. Even in this area, everything dies like relatively easy. The machine gun guys will take a little longer, but everything else will die in like 1 or 2 shots. All right, next let's talk about how I personally would approach the deep desert if I'm a solo player, as I said in the intro, this is a dangerous region for most players. Like once you pass the border where PvP starts, you become essentially a massive target, and if you don't have like boys to back you, you become really easy to kill, and you stand a lot to lose. So how I would approach this is a couple of ways. First off, I would start building a forward operating base every week here. Not in this spot, but just in general before the border. For those who are not aware, whenever you are in these areas in the deep desert, everything is half cost. That means bases like this one, which is our base, we got a carrier here. All these things are half cost. This essentially means that you can get the same benefits from being in Haga Basin half off here. And that kind of evens up the odds for you to be able to kind of play, right? The caveat is you would need to disassemble and every week when the storm comes and clear it, and then bring it back and then redo it every week. But it saves you on half the resources. So that's a big thing. The other thing is, and this one's super important, I would think this is the most important tip I even give you for deep desert. The reality of what the best vehicles are in the entire game is not an assault. You don't build assaults. You build these. You build scout ornithopters, MK6. Scouts are the by far best option in the entire game, and I will say that assaults are not very good right now in the meta, because assaults have some glaring issues. They're big, they're slow, they deliver more damage, but they're outmaneuvered, so half the time those damage that they would deliver gets evaded by scouts. Scouts are way faster. Like a Mark 6 scout, for example, will have a dive speed, like a glide speed of 180. You will never get that as an assault. So you will always be outmaneuvered every single time, no matter what. They cannot keep up with you. There is some other tech I'm not going to really talk about where the scout could literally stay in the sky in the 700 meter radius, and you literally can't do anything as an assault. The only place right now in the current meta where assaults are strong is if they're trying to kill a carrier. And there's a strong argument that a group of Mark 5 scouts can be better because they're less expensive and they can be more maneuverable in offense. With that said, as a solo player perspective, Mark 6 is not reasonable. It takes spice melange, as you can see there. That's 55. That's 5,500 per piece. Well, not per piece, but every piece is 5. This is gonna be like 100,000 spice melange or something to build this. And then each wing is not. How much is this? 14 each wing. Like you're not building this. But the Mark 5 is pretty reasonable. We just saw that I got Mark 5 pieces from that dungeon. So you can reasonably get a Mark 5. And you should be playing around the assault with missiles at all times, because this is still a very dominant vehicle. And most of these things are super easy and close to you, because that's kind of why I told you to build that place, because you can get all these materials needed for the scout in that area. And so I would just be playing around this and playing a skittish type of play style. And in the deep desert specifically, as you can see that I have a base 17,000 meters out. I wouldn't go that far. Like for most scout players, realistically, solo players, you can stop at like, I don't know, I would stop at like C, D, maybe E. Like F, G, H, that's a little too far, because like you're basically going to be playing around smaller piles, because the people that can overwhelm you are not looking for small piles. They're looking for big piles of spice. And like, as I said before, like these PvE zones in the deep desert can drop those compactors. Like there's a compactor that's like Mark 5 that doesn't take spice melange, that makes it so that you generate less aggro and you get more spice. Like that's super good for you, because you're never going to afford a vehicle. It's not happening. You're not getting a sand sweeper thingy, a spice sweeper. It just never will happen for you. And you wouldn't be able to transport it. You would just be a literal walking target. You would die instantly. Everyone would kill you. So you would need to play around that. And then you could, in theory, just play in this area, build your base here, leave every week, come back, and you'll have half the cost for spice melange And with you being within this region where it's relatively safe and you being faster than everyone, you obviously gonna either put rockets or you're gonna put storage depending on what you're doing at the time, or you can just keep both on you so you can go in and engage and re-engage and do it that way. And I would also build 2 bases out here, one here and then one about the halfway mark from where you typically stage. You know what I mean? So like, let's say for example you go out 10,000 meters, 5,000 meters out, you build a base, and then there'll be a base here. And this essentially makes it so that whenever you get attacked by the mini groups that will attack you, you have the opportunity to land and be safe and salvage your gear and salvage your loot and things like that. You sit in your base, you AFK, you trash talk, and they leave because they're just wasting their time. A sandstorm comes, they can't do anything. They would have to come out and raid your base in a sandstorm, and like, people are not going to do that, especially considering it's not worth it. You can just go do something else instead of like griefing that one solo player essentially. So that's what I would do, and that's how I would approach the deep desert. I don't know if I would ever hit any of these facilities for the best loot. I guess your best bet would be like, you could attempt one of these testing stations and maybe get something out of it, but realistically I think your best bet would be like killing a player in a fight or something, because like, everyone's your enemy essentially. My thing broke, sorry. And everyone's your enemy essentially. So if you can find someone to pick off and you kill them, and you just kind of play like a pirate or something, like a scavenger. I mean, even then, yeah, you play like a scavenger essentially. Anyway, making this video too long and I gotta edit this. Hopefully that gives players who are interested in playing from a solo perspective a little bit of insight on how to approach playing solo. It's not impossible, but I think most players won't have tolerance for it, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this video helps some people out, and yeah, I'll probably see you in the next video very soon.